Assalamu alaikum. It is a great honor to be here with you today. It's a great historic moment to be with all of you, great ulama, scholars, shuyukh, everybody here in attendance. This is a historic moment, and I really pray, inshallah, that we have these conferences every year, not only here in Istanbul and Turkey, but across the world until East Turkestan is free. Say it with me, free East Turkestan. Free East Turkestan. One more time, free East Turkestan. Free East Turkestan. So I landed yesterday and we received news that the European Union Parliament issued a formal declaration that it found that China is committing crimes against humanity and suspects that China is potentially committing genocide. Now let's be clear, anything short of genocide is mischaracterizing what is happening in East Turkestan. These aren't crimes against humanity. This isn't persecution, this isn't ethnic cleansing, this is genocide. The European Union, the United States, every government across the world, every organization across the world must call what is happening in East Turkestan right now in real time as a full-fledged genocide. Now again, I'm deeply honored to be here. It's a great, humbling, and honoring moment to be invited by my Uyghur brothers and sisters. I've been in Istanbul many times, and it's always a great experience when I come here. But I want to spend a couple of moments speaking directly to the non-Uyghur brothers and sisters in the audience. Now let's be very clear. The reason I want to speak to the non-Uyghur is because of a couple of specific reasons. Whenever Uyghur people speak up on what's happening in East Turkestan, they are putting themselves in danger. Whenever Uyghur people speak up on what's happening in East Turkestan, they are putting their loved ones in the diaspora, but especially back home in East Turkestan, in danger. So what does that mean? That means two really important things. Number one, that the genocide is a global phenomenon. China is not only unleashing and imposing genocide within the boundaries of East Turkestan, it is inflicting it upon Uyghur people all across the world, in the United States and Australia, here in Turkey, and all over the world. And second, that brings me to the final point, and the most important point, is because our Uyghur brothers and sisters cannot speak up on what's happening in East Turkestan, that creates a direct responsibility on us, on non-Uyghur Muslims, to speak up on their behalf, because when we speak up, we are not in danger. When we speak up, our loved ones are not in danger. When we speak up, we have the ability to speak freely and powerfully to governments, and specifically to the Chinese government. And I'm going to be honest here, I don't want your applause, I don't want your praise, but the reality is this, is that we have failed our Uyghur brothers and sisters up until this point. Us Muslims from all over the world have not spoken effectively, have not spoken as frequently, have not spoken as powerfully as to what's been taking place in East Turkestan for decades. But that changes today. We all came from different parts of the world, different countries, some Muslim majority countries, some countries like the United States, where I'm a minority as a Muslim in that country. And from this day forward, after this historic conference, it is our responsibility as non-Uyghur Muslims to be ambassadors, to be champions, to be mouthpieces for this movement moving forward. That is not only a responsibility, but an obligation, a responsibility for us to do that moving forward. Whenever we say free Palestine, that must always be followed with free East Turkestan. Whenever we say free Kashmir, it is incomplete unless we follow that with saying free East Turkestan. If we don't do that, if we are silent, we are enabling China's genocide. If we are silent, we are abetting what China is doing to our Uyghur brothers and sisters moving ahead. Now, if you know me and you follow my work, for young people in the room, you may know me from social media. Others may know me from the books I've written, but I'm a law professor. I teach constitutional law in the United States. This past semester, I taught at Harvard University, and many years before I came to that university, A scholar by the name of Samuel Huntington predicted a clash of civilizations. In other words, a war on Islam and a war on Muslims. Well, guess what? We're living in that war right now. We're seeing it in real time take place in India, where the BJP and Modi are slandering the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings upon him. We're living that war on Islam right now, where 2 million Rohingya Muslims have been displaced from their homes, their cities, and their villages, and are forced to live stateless in countries all over the world. We're living that war right now when young Muslim girls and sisters, young girls like my nieces and my sisters, cannot wear the hijab when they're going to school in France or Karnataka in India or Quebec in Canada. We're seeing that war on Islam unfold and being unleashed in an Islamophobia that is boundless and that is taking place on a global scale. But let me ask you this, when we talk about Islamophobia, is there anything more ominous, anything more horrific, anything more evil than 5 million people being pushed, being arrested in the dark of the night, and being put in concentration camps? Is there any Islamophobia more evil than mosques being bulldozed and being razed? Is there any Islamophobia more evil than young children being taken from their parents and being put into brainwashing orphanages? Is there any Islamophobia more evil than Uyghur sisters being forced to marry Han Chinese men, or communist loyalists being stationed in the homes of Uyghur families in East Turkestan? The architecture of Islamophobia in East Turkestan is genocide. It is genocidal. Whenever we talk about Islamophobia on a global scale, we must begin that discussion and that conversation with what's happening in East Turkestan. East Turkestan is the very epicenter. It is the very global heart of Islamophobia unfolding right now globally. Whenever you talk about Islamophobia, you must always begin with what is taking place in East Turkestan moving forward. Again, I'm going to close by saying this and delivering this message to the non-Uyghur brothers and sisters in the room. The responsibility is on us. The responsibility is on you moving forward after this conference to not only be advocates, but to be champions of this issue in the countries from which you come from, on the dinner tables, in the workspaces, in the institutions in which you work. We must not forget our Uyghur brothers and sisters moving ahead. If we forget them, we're failing them. Again, in closing, every time we mention Kashmir, we mention East Turkestan. Every time we mention what's happening with the Rohingya, we mention East Turkestan. Every time we raise a Palestinian flag and say free Palestine, we say free East Turkestan directly and immediately after that. Thank you so much. Wassalamu alaikum.